Hey guys, Meteorologist Chris Tomer here with this afternoon mountain weather update. All right, here's what I'm seeing this afternoon. Still looking at a major storm system that will sort of lay the groundwork for everything else that's going to happen. 229 through 3-4. You can see the timeline for the Wasatch, Tetons, Colorado, and the Sierra. I won't go through all of those, but heavy snow is in the forecast. Feet of accumulation for most of these places, especially the Sierra. I mean, 4 to 8 feet on the way, above 5,000 feet. Powder Highway, I talked about this morning. The numbers have trended down slightly here this afternoon, 1 to 2 feet now. Basically, the timeline is between now and 3-2, and then there may be some light snow on 3-8. So that tail end of that forecast has lightened up just a touch. All right, let me take you over to water vapor here this afternoon. And when you're looking at this, the oranges and reds are your drier air aloft, the whites, the blues, the greens, that's going to be your moisture aloft. And this is the big driver, this big trough of low pressure. This is the next storm system, the big one for 229 into 3-4. And it's basically going to dig all the way to the south through the Sierra. Spend 2 or 3 days, and it's just going to snow like crazy. And then it's going to make that turn and pivot through Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado. All those places will all get snow out of this storm system. And is being supported by a buckling jet stream, so that'll help. Once this thing dives down to the south, it'll help to really squeeze out some big-time lift and orographics over the Sierra. All right, here's that jet forecast. By the end of the day today, here comes our storm system. Look at the trough digging to the south into California, just nailing the Sierra. Brings all that moisture into the interior states. So the big time frame for Utah, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, 3-1, 3-2, 3-3, and 3-4. After that storm pulls out of California, moves all that energy and that banding into the interior. And then we're into what I'm calling sort of the conveyor belt pattern, where storm systems, small to medium in size, are all just kind of escorted in off the Pacific into California, Oregon, Washington, and then into the interior states after the big storm system. Putting moisture on all this, so that's the current state of affairs. Snow up in BC, Pacific Northwest. Storm system dives down to the south, hits the Sierra, and then look what happens. So there's this banding feature along the front and the jet that develops right over the top of the Tetons, parts of Idaho, and then it begins to sink south into the Wasatch, and then eventually into Colorado, 3-3, 3-4. And then the next piece of energy rotates in behind it off the Pacific. Here it comes into California. That'll keep the snow going into 3-7, 3-8, and probably even 3-9. So it's an active pattern. Here are my latest numbers. New grand total map this afternoon. So this is total snow by late 3-8. The numbers in the Sierra really haven't changed much. Still looking at potentially 100 inches of snow across Tahoe down to Mammoth. A little bit less in Shasta, but that's still a lot of snow. Looking at 30 to 50 inches across the Wasatch by the time all is said and done by the end of the day on 3-8. Solid numbers remaining in the Tetons. Just like I talked about this morning, over 3 feet of accumulation on the way. Western and northwest Colorado gets the most, 1 to 2 feet in some of those places. Anywhere in purple's over a foot. Idaho still looks solid, anywhere from like 2 to 2.5 feet. So the numbers in interior BC up through parts of Fernie, Red Mountain have stayed pretty solid. They've gone down 10 to 20%, but the numbers have gone down maybe 20, 30% up around Kicking Horse, Revelstoke, but still looking good. And spillover snow down into Sunshine Village and Marmot Basin. Big numbers across the Pacific Northwest, Washington, and Oregon. Breaking it down by time period. Rest of today through the day tomorrow, the snow starts to come out of the Pacific Northwest, drop down into parts of Tahoe and Shasta. By the end of the day on the 29th, we start to see that heavy snow already piling up. Okay, next time period. 3-1 through 3-4. That's when the Sierra picks up the bulk of the accumulation with like 5 feet. 4 to 5 feet, and potentially 1 to 2 feet for the Wasatch, couple of feet, 2.5 feet potentially for the Tetons, about a foot in Colorado, less south of I-70, and looking at some pretty big numbers up in the Pacific Northwest, anywhere from 5 to 10 across interior BC. Okay, final time period, 3-5 to 3-8. This is when those smaller storms just come running across the interior, but there's enough moisture with these. We could still squeeze out 1 to 2 feet across the Wasatch, another 8 to 12 for the Tetons, and potentially 6 to 12 in Colorado. Okay, one last stop up into the northeast, looking at 1 to 3 inches. Again, not much here, no major storm systems. A little bit of light snow potentially late tonight into tomorrow morning, and then again a couple of light shots first week of March. All right, guys, we'll end on the grand total map here, and we have a lot of snow yet to go. Of course, we have the first major storm system that rolls in, and then a couple pieces of smaller energy to deal with as well down the road. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in here to this afternoon Mountain Weather Update. Always appreciate it, and take care.